All right, Jonarific versus NetFlxNChil. I do like to give as much exposure to different players as possible, but it is also kind of fun to follow a rising star through a tournament who's playing well. That may be NetFlxNChil, but Jonarific may be able to knock him off his throne from round 1. This is Jonarific's first match. He was waiting in round 2 for his challenger. So NetFlxNChil, a diamond level player in vanilla. We've seen him, like I said, perform quite well. He played as Swarm, he played as Covenant, and he played as Raiders, right? He won as Raiders, and he won as Swarm. Jonarific having a lot of experience with HeptaCraft, knowing the mod very well. He's casted tournaments in the past. I'd recommend you check him out on YouTube, where he probably has the tournaments that he did cast up on his channel. Okay, and in the upper left, we have John not randoming and choosing between Kala, and in the bottom left, choosing between Raiders, Swarm, and Covenant. Well, we don't see Creep, so realistically, Raiders and Covenant. NetFlxNChil getting Raiders. Raiders v Kala. We have not seen Kala this tournament yet. This is actually great. We've seen a nice menagerie of different races played so far. So Kala is opposite of Nerazim. There are two Protoss factions. Kala plays... It's similar to Swarm in the way that it's... I look at each race has a... It's like a Brood War StarCraft 2 hybrid. That would be Raiders for Terran, Kala for Protoss, and Swarm for Zerg. That's kind of how I view these different factions. So I would say... What we're going to see here, I would expect to see maybe Bio? I don't know. It depends on how Netflix decides to go up against Kala, because the Kala race, specifically their strong point is really Psionic Storm. Once they get to Psionic Storm, they can do so much AoE damage that it would be challenging for Marines to really last. So we might see NetFlxNChil get a little sneaky again with some cloaked ships, some cloaked drop ships, some cloaked Banshees, some cloaked Wraiths. Really interesting Air Force to pick those off. I'm not sure. I think Raiders get Ghosts. Or maybe they get Spectres. I don't remember. They might have something that can EMP. We'll find out later. Once this barracks finishes, we might be able to see. But Jonarific up here in the upper left, playing as Kala. Keep in mind, like I said, this is kind of a Brood War-esque Protoss faction. You do not get Warp Gate. So you have to actually build everything out of your gateways as you would a barracks or a factory or any Terran production facility, a robo facility as well. So you can't open these up and warp in anywhere across the map. Kala, of course, though, does have their own strengths. I would say Kala's main strength is just building a force that can headlong rush into massive defenses. So if we were to see, like, Kala versus Dominion, we would just see, like, Archons, High Templar, and Zealot just smashing through a big line of siege tanks and seeing Dominion try to hold on, which is their strong point. So, fast bunker here for NetFlxNChil. John does see it, though, so he knows that this is here, meaning he can probably expect to see a fast command center. So the question is, will he decide to try to attack early and circumvent that bunker? Actually, there is nowhere to circumvent that bunker. And I also don't think that Kala has anything early that can leap up and down cliffs. So we'll see what both players decide to do. We have a fast Dragoon coming out for John. We'll take a look at the Dragoon when it comes out. They're not as large as the Legacy of the Void Dragoons. They're a little bit smaller, and they're very, very fast. So they're kind of the best of both worlds from StarCraft 1 Dragoons and Legacy of the Void Dragoons. They're not big and clunky like StarCraft 1 Dragoons, but they're fast like StarCraft 1 Dragoons. So they're basically... Again, the best of both worlds between the two types of Dragoons that have ever existed. Once again, we've got the reactor swap from NetFlxNChil. We'll see what he's going to choose to build here. It's a tech reactor. I forgot about this. Sorry, I thought he was Dominion for a brief moment, getting my players mixed up. So we have tech reactors. All of Raynor's add-ons are tech reactors, so you can double build. The question is, can you afford to produce off of all of them? So we do have 2 Vultures coming out. Vultures, seeing a really big mech composition out of Raiders would be pretty neat. Vultures moving around, harassing, getting rid of light units like Zealots, and maybe even dodging Psionic Storms and getting rid of High Templar. Make them really, really valuable even into the later game. Ion Thrusters coming out. That's an old Brood War upgrade. You know, I say Brood War. I've had people who are like, Jayborino, it's from StarCraft 1. What are you thinking? Look, it's a colloquialism. We all know what it means. When I say Brood War, it means StarCraft 1 and or its expansion Brood War. Okay? Know what I mean, not what I say. Okay, we've got Vultures trying to chase down these Dragoons. This Dragoon, actually, though, is quite tanky. It's able to attack, and we've got a Repulsor out. Repulsors, actually, they're very, very good harassment units. They cost Terrazine out from Kala. They're very fast, as you can see, and they knock back non-armored units. They're great for anti-harassment. They're great for harassment and anti-harassment, because they can knock those light units out. So specifically, like Vultures and Cerberus and anything that's considered light, the repulsor can knock away before it maybe kills a bunch of your units. NetFlxNChil pulling off 4 SCVs, knowing that he may need to defend heavily here. And what does he have coming out? He has 2 siege tanks. Does he have siege tech? It looks like he's finished siege tech already. Or do you not have to research siege tech? Because this was where ion thrusters was. I assume he researched it already and I just missed it. Can we check somewhere? Upgrades. Ion thrusters. No, I guess you just start with it. That's interesting. Okay, we've got the tanks set up, though. Oh, and these Dragoons are on hold position. Will John move them away? You definitely want to save that repulsor. That's pretty expensive. And he gets it out of there. Again, these repulsors cost Terrazine, so you don't want to just throw them away. They don't do a lot of damage against most things, except light units. Again, I would consider them harassment, anti-harassment, which is very cool. He's got a second one out here. A lot of Dragoons. You can consider Dragoons kind of the meat of your army, but probably not against tanks. Arc-light siege tanks are interesting in that they're not quite Crucio tanks. They're more mobile. They don't have that wind-up time. They don't have a slow turn rate. You can reposition them a little bit faster. So thinking back onto last match that we saw, which was Swarm versus Dominion, had those been Arc-light tanks, it's possible they would have sieged up in time. Another thing we want to point out is for all the siege tanks, they have friendly fire. I mean, most siege tanks have the friendly fire, even in StarCraft 2, but it's worth pointing out as a separate tooltip because there's a thing called Smart Fire that was not in StarCraft 1, but it is in HeptaCraft. Excuse me. It is in StarCraft 1, it's not in StarCraft 2. HeptaCraft has removed Smart Fire, such that tanks, what that means is tanks will overkill things. So if it only takes 1 tank shot to kill something and you have 40 tanks here, in StarCraft 2, maybe only 1 or 2 of those tanks would actually shoot it. Whereas in HeptaCraft and StarCraft 1, all of your tanks would shoot it. Increasing the odds that 1, if there are melee units on top of your tanks, they'll kill themselves, and 2, they might waste their shots. The way that that's traded off in HeptaCraft is tanks are incredibly powerful. They do a huge amount of damage. And in Legacy of the Void, Blizzard has kind of brought that back with vanilla tanks now, such that they are just they're just meant to be positional powerhouses, which is cool to see because that's what they originally were. That's what they originally meant to be. We have 4 vultures sneaking around the top here, moving into the expansion, and no workers ready to be killed, but look at this little overhang here. Perfect for vultures to kill a lot of probes. John knows that this is here, though. He's moving up with his Dragoons, chasing away the vultures. Those ion thrusters, though, do allow vultures to get in and out really quick, really at no loss. Observer's out for John. He's checking across the map just to see where he can get. There's no detection here. There's no detection here from NetFlxNChil, and you need an engineering bay to even use scanner sweep. No engineering bay out, meaning no turrets, is a little scary. We have a few workers going down, but none of these vultures are going to escape. I don't expect any of them to get through. There we go. How many workers? Getting 5 workers for the cost of 4, excuse me, 4 vultures. That's, you tell me how you think that is. And, uh-oh. The great minefield of our time has begun. This is Brood War if I've ever seen it. Brood War pro matches watching with Terran. We do have 2 Banshees on the field. Cloak is just about finished. Does John have detection? We know he has observers, but will he have any in his base when he needs it? He will have Stasis Field, which is his Town Hall's defensive ability. If you haven't noticed, all Town Halls have some sort of utility or defensive ability. We have a scan going down here looking for workers. And here we go. John's workers are in a precarious position. Where's his army? It's kind of further away as the Banshees are going to start just pecking away at these workers. It only takes 2 rounds from both to get rid of these. And now we have Dragoons chasing him away, but there's the Cloak. Do we have any observers around the map? They've got to be coming in here somewhere. And there must be an observer. Yeah, now he has the observer in his army. So good response there from John, getting his observer there on top of the Banshees, but the Banshees can quickly just rotate between bases until we see cannons, which I think are a long way away. I don't think we even have a forge on the field. There's a gateway. Yeah, I don't think we even have a forge, so until we see cannons come out, there's no static defense that can handle those. And John does have a nice vision on the expansion here. Both players looks like this is going to be moving into a mid-game play right now. We've got Hyperflight rotors coming out for NetFlxNChil, which is for Banshee movement speed, I believe it is, and then structural boosters for fast floating buildings. I believe he got this, NetFlxNChil got this in a previous matchup where he played Raiders. It's a Terrazine upgrade too. I'm not 100% sure what the real advantage of it is, but I think your buildings do move quite fast once you have them. We have sentries coming out for Jonarific, and then also Zealot leg enhancements. That is not charge. There is no charge for the Kala faction, because keep in mind, charge was a StarCraft 2 upgrade. This is it's more Brood War focused. Your Zealots just move real fast. That's the difference. John looking like he wants to move out here. he does see, you know, there's, well, I don't know if he saw all these tanks. He knows that there's 2 tanks here. Both players kind of thinking they want to move out here pretty soon, though. Nope, NetFlxNChil deciding, nope, we're going to stay sieged up. Because we have John moving now across the map. He's going to have to go through the minefields, but with Dragoons and then also the observers, he'll be able to see them. So this is going to be an interesting situation. Will the mines be able to do any damage? And even if they don't, will these units be able to push through this amount of tanks? The sentries do provide that persistent guardian shield in HeptaCraft. Every attack damage is reduced by 2, so it's basically like a free +2 armor to all units inside the bubble, which is not insignificant, especially if you were to get some zealots in there. We do have some zealots up here, and what are both players looking at? We've got Banshees still in the main base. Still Banshees in the main base. John, I think he is running his probes, but deciding maybe he has to attack now. We have Fast Siege coming out. We have Fast Siege coming out from NetFlxNChil, which will allow his tanks to reposition very, very quickly. That's a Raiders only upgrade. I believe it's Terrazine as well. So again, setting apart those Arclight Siege tanks. And John's income is just getting hammered. Just getting hammered by these Banshees. We do have now cannons coming out. Those cannons, though, might be too little too late. We have no real harassment available from John right now because all of his units are required to push through this minefield and then these tanks and vultures. So NetFlxNChil is in a very, very good position. But finally, the Banshee's running out of energy, and the Dragoons... Oh! Okay, wow, I didn't realize there was a Dragoon on the ramp. I thought that Banshee was about to get away. Then I saw it explode, and my emotions just didn't know what to feel at that exact moment. Okay, we have +1 ship vehicle weapons and plating coming out for NetFlxNChil. Jonarific going to try to probably reset up his income. Harvester's very low for John now because he lost a lot of those Banshees. Let's take a look. 42 workers killed. That, you know, I'm not a huge proponent of saying that worker differences are going to make or break a game, specifically in HeptaCraft. In vanilla, that makes a big difference. But in HeptaCraft, it's not as important, but 42 is a really, really, really big difference. Okay, and Netflix maybe realizing that he's got a nice advantage here, deciding to move out. He sees John's army is in place here, so he decides to move up with the tanks, moving down here to maybe set up some stronger defense on top of the ramps rather than where he was. And he's moving up with the vultures, probably going to continue setting up mines around to defend himself. There are observers here that can see the mines, but those are wasting precious shots of the Dragoons that maybe needed to pick off vultures. And here is the terrifying Brood War Terran mech push with the mines, with the mass vultures and the tanks. Again, this is why I consider Raiders sort of that hybrid-y Brood War type faction. And here goes John. I think maybe he saw that there was an unsiege there, decides to move in. I don't think he's even able to get through that amount of tanks. He's moving it with Zealots. He may need High Templar to get rid of that amount of vultures. And he is picking off the spider mines, but again, every shot used on a spider mine is a shot not used to kill a vulture or a tank. And NetFlxNChil is just really boxing John out right here and forcing his army back across the map. What John is doing really well right here, though, is delaying and forcing NetFlxNChil to fight for every inch that he pushes across the map. And this is the classic Terran slow push, but it is allowing John to get more and more units out. Both players on 3 bases, so macro-wise, they have the potential to be about the same, but income is severely skewed towards NetFlxNChil because of the amount of workers killed. Specifically, it's about 30 to 60. And if you look at the difference, again, 42, that would easily close the gap and could put John in the lead for Harvesters right now. John maybe, again, trying to circumvent these armies, trying to get rid of as many mines as he can. These tanks are starting to siege up. That fast siege is huge. And it looks like John now trying to stand his ground and hold on to this. He does have the vision. He can see the army right now to see what's there. And, oh, High Templar getting picked off right there is a big deal. The tanks, though, not sieged up. John, though, again, forcing Netflix to just force his way through the middle of this map, and he's losing units as he does it. He lost a lot of vultures as those Dragoons were able to pick off a lot. And even though those Dragoons have a wind-up time, it's the slow aiming, basically meaning that when you can't stop move with them as effectively, they take some time to stop, open up their phase disruptors, and actually shoot something, that it's hard to kite with them, and John continues to do it really, really well. Netflix, though, scanning and getting a good vision on where NetFlxNChil, or where Jonarific's units are. NetFlxNChil, though, keeping an eye, and he's saying, I'm coming, I've got these tanks, and I'm coming. He just keeps building more and more tanks, trying to reinforce those vultures so that he can set up more spider mines. He does have spider mines all around the map, so even if John had the army to push him away, he'd have to be wary of spider mines that are set up all around the map. I have to say, NetFlxNChil, though, performing this slow tank push really, really well, as he is just really creeping into John's territory. John, again, doing really well at holding him back, now realizing that he has to engage, but his Zealots were getting stuck behind the Dragoons. As the Zealots run in, they perform a surround on the tanks, and here's where that Smart Fire really comes into play. Those tanks basically killing themselves because they weren't spread out. Huge, huge swing back for John. Continue to look at the income mistakes were made. Exactly. The income is evened up. That was an enormous engagement. John has to be wary of those spider mines, and he's wondering, you know, can I push now? Should I push now? There's a lot of mines all over the map. His Zealots can't destroy those even if they have vision, so he's actually leaving his Zealots behind. Very, very smart. And that was an incredible engagement. Those tanks, NetFlxNChil, he had his tanks spread out, but the second they were all clumped up, John engaged. And whether intentional or unintentional, I'm really not sure, because I really don't know how much vision he had at that moment. He went at the right time, exactly when those tanks, even though they were sieged up, he got his Zealots on top of them, and that Smart Fire that I had described earlier came into enormous play. Now the amount of Vultures will be able to get rid of, most likely, this amount of Zealots, and all the Zealots getting pulled through spider mines. All the Zealots are dead. If these tanks siege up, and now they are, they will be able to push these Dragoons back. Excellent back and forth play from both of these players, both of them sneaking a fourth over on the right side of the map. Oh dear, both of the supplies are pretty even. We've got a long, tenacious match here between Raiders and Kala. This is awesome. Actually, I think the first match of HeptaCraft I ever casted was sent to me by Summerloud. It was Summer versus Bernie, and it was this matchup, and it was incredible. And it basically played out just like this, which was a really strong gateway matchup against huge Terran mech against Raiders. And it's, again, pushing into those arc-light tanks is going to prove very, very challenging for John. But if he gets those Zealots on top of them, they will continue to be excellent as he gets more and more of their upgrades. And oh dear, the Kaydarin Amulet. This, I don't know how I feel about this upgrade. I feel it's almost too powerful. 30% faster energy regen, and you get starting and max energy increased by 50 for High Templar. It's sort of like the Brood War. It's sort of like the Brood War High Templar upgrade. Kaydarin Amulet, except the 30% faster energy regen. Basically, anything clumped up will die to Storm, unless you can kill or nullify those High Templar. Oh dear, it's going to be terrible. Okay, well, this is an interesting game because John has a relatively small army, but he's going to be relying on spellcasters while we just have this enormous mech force from NetFlxNChil. So it's, oh, he should have learned his lesson. Don't clump him up! Don't clump him up! Oh, one High Templar getting picked off, but Jonarific trying to come around the middle of the map and circumvent these tanks, but they are split up pretty well. And moving away again, John is really, I think, relying on these spellcasters, which really will prove their value, but they can't get close because of those siege tanks. Okay, falling back behind the minefield. Both players, I think, a little tentative to engage each other. A lot of Zealots on the field for John, which is what he needs to engage these tanks. The tanks, though, currently are unsieged, but John, I don't think, has the vision to know behind this little tree field right here. Doesn't allow him to see. Didn't realize, oh, they're unsieged. And actually, NetFlxNChil leaving some of his tanks unsieged. So basically, if you split your tanks up, some of them will be lambs to the slaughter. Your tanks in the back will not smart fire and kill them, but you will still annihilate the enemy units. Both players approaching 200 supply. Psionic Storm not done yet for John, but it will be in 4 seconds. +3 coming out, and then +3 vehicle ship and plating is huge. Both players approaching +3 on the ground. That's going to make a big difference, but this amount of Vultures can basically run in and out with impunity unless you have Dragoons or something bigger. And oh my word, I missed it! John moving on top of tanks, seeing that they were unsieged and not in position right now, and John, either he's going to back end this army and go and attack. This amount of Vultures trying to do some damage. Maybe he could unpower a lot of these buildings, but his Vulture's not back to protect his tanks against the Zealots. As John moves in from behind, he's going to wipe out this whole army, most likely. As the tanks go down, the Dragoons will be able to clean up this amount of Zealots, unless they try to run away now. NetFlxNChil letting most of his army die, but he's able to rebuild it so fast. He still has a supply advantage. Where is all that supply? Where is it? Let's check. Where is it? He must have a lot more SCVs. Okay, well, John deciding to push his advantage again. He's still down in terms of supply, so where is it? Harvesters, 73 Harvesters. Both are actually even in Harvesters, and still running through the mines. No, not the mines! Oh, no! Losing some Dragoons and Zealots there. There's still more mines across this map, and I think that NetFlxNChil just has the production that he needs to reinforce this. No air units from either player could make a big difference, especially against NetFlxNChil. But John just exactly how I described Kala, making those gateway units to just smash through these heavily defended areas, and he's succeeded. He's had a lot of really, really good engagements. He's got the High Templar in there, and these Vultures are just asking to get stormed, but the High Templar gets picked up again. Do we have more High Templar coming out? None of them are queued up right now. These upgrades are going to be huge for his gateway units, but they're not available right now. The +3, though, finishing up for the Arclight tanks really scares me. It's going to be finished here in 4 seconds. All right, and I feel like this is just a flashback, though, as NetFlxNChil is pushing his way across the map. But look at the mini-map. Both players have set up bases across the whole map. They've almost taken their entire maps. But NetFlxNChil, though, annihilating John's army. And what does John have to hold out against this? And using the Vultures actually to block the Dragoons, surrounding them completely, even though they do minimal damage against these types of units. When you have enough of them, they can still get rid of them. And John's army, though, is mostly gone. A lot of his existing supplies and harvesters, and I don't think he has what it takes to push against this amount of tanks. I don't know when he can get out fast enough. But this was a wonderful match. I think we're about to see GG here, unless we have like a crazy comeback where he tries to hold on with his bases up here. No, and there's the GG from John, but an excellent game. Well played from both players. Really, really well done. Interestingly enough, I feel like John really had some excellent engagements. He won more engagements than he lost for the most part, but the worker disadvantage at the beginning, excuse me, the worker disadvantage at the beginning made a really, really big difference. And then beyond that, I don't think he had enough production structures to produce off of the amount of income he had off of that amount of bases. But that was a really, really good game from both players. Well played.